why aren't we taught that the real and the original name of Egypt is Kemet? Or Sudan is Nubia. Ethiopia is Cush. Somalia is Punt. When you read the Bible and other documents from antiquity, you hear these names, you don't hear them now, but that's history, and that's something that can be taught. Some of us, we have a nursing program here. Some of us may be doctors in the future. We've heard of the Hippocrates Oath, or the Pythagoras theorem in the context of being a doctor, but why don't we know that Imhotep was the first doctor? And he lived 2,000 years, I said 2,000 years before Pythagoras or Hippocrates. And this isn't an opinion, these are facts. Sheikh Anta Dia, I've never been to Africa, although I love Africa. I'm going to Egypt this year to see the pyramids. How were they built? The Greeks invaded Egypt in 332 before the Christian era. It's documented. Alexander the Great and others. Pyramids are a lot older than that. A lot older than that. Dr. Sheikh Anta Dia, without a shadow of a doubt, proved, I didn't say guessed, I said proved, that the mummies and that the pharaohs in Egypt were African people. He did the melanin dosage test in 1974 at a United Nations convention in Cairo, Egypt. 1974, before some of you were born. So no matter what Disney says or what movies they put out about Egypt, those were black-skinned people. And that's history, and that's something that's not being taught. Why? Now, Lewis Latimer. How many of you know who Lewis Latimer is? Well, I know you use a telephone and you use a light bulb. You've heard of Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. But what would their accomplishments be without Lewis Latimer? I mean, after all, what could you do with a light bulb without a filament? So, in the context of black history, we need to know about Lewis Latimer, as we need to know about Imhotep, as I mentioned earlier. Over here, I purposely put on the stage because although we're celebrating African heritage and black history, African heritage and black history, it's Women's History Month. Give it up for all the women. This is March. And so we have Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman. Recent history over there on the side, and y'all need to Google and search those sisters. Right now, I see that our guests have arrived. Dr. Sanford is sitting in the second row, the right hand class. I would like to bring up the two student hosts, and one of them shall introduce our president. President Gail Mellon. But I want to close by saying, thank you for listening. This is why we do Black History Month. My co-chair, Louis Merchant, and he was an excellent co-chair along with me. And I hope that you listen to the words of this great woman and this great man closely, because they have touched me. I've learned from Adelaide Sanford. I remember her at the Floor Restaurant years ago talking about Ebonics. And I was with Reverend Al Sharpton when he got stabbed in Bensonhurst. And some of you may not like Reverend Al or heard things, but he's a great man. He forgave that man who stabbed him. That's right. So give it up for those two people who present